It's just different.
Hopeless at one point and then having an opportunity to make you go harder, make you get in that booth and just really express that hopelessness. Like, man, y'all don't understand. This is like, you know what I mean? You dig from a different place. That bottom of your soul, that pit, homie, where you felt like the shit was, you know what I'm saying? You always wanted, but it looked like it was just not gonna happen.
Shit, in your mind it ain't gonna happen, shit, it probably won't. I took some risks, some people probably won't. That's how we're grateful for the fruits of all my labor. Hard to live and know you sick, I'd rather be with my creator, thinking time's up.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Four Inside Podcast. This is your host, Mike Obi.
And it's your boy London Overtree back for some more gems. What's up, my guy?
My man, shoot, another thing, man. Another day, another busy week, busy life as always. But you know, we trucking along and we getting things done. How are you?
Good, man. I think that's the theme of our new intro is just how has your week? It's just been busy. So I mean, that's a lot of people probably saying like, damn, they've been kind of busy, and we have. So same here, learning my role even more and more, and trying to be the best I can in sales, and trying to still have this fitness career at the same time. And I keep saying on this every episode, is like I can't stand this boat. So each week is just is what it is, because you lose striations and you losing like your leanness, but it comes with the territory. So I can't complain.
Yeah, man. I mean, today in the gym, I was telling you off air, like I finally started feeling myself again, as far as just not feeling like a zombie and like actually having energy to be in the gym and kind of be locked in during the workout, and not just making it something where, you know, I'm just
It's
there,
like
but I'm
you're just
like a
there to
zombie.
do it.
Exactly.
And I think that's how I was, I'll say 2-3 months ago when I first started the cut, because my environment, I feel like I wasn't really feeling my environment at the gym anymore. So I was just like, I don't want to be here. I'm on edge. So I'm just getting back to that feel. Like every workout I'm going, I'm just hammering it, I'm smashing it. So that's what I'm happy about, is just being back in the gym and being happy being in there.
Yeah, because I mean, one thing about it, we both have the discipline, and it's sort of like, to me, the gym's kind of evolved to something where it's not therapy, but it's almost like medicine, like a vitamin. Like, you know, I got to do it just because, you know, the job I'm in, the stressful lifestyle I choose to embark on, is stressful. So it's like that's the way to kind of keep, you know, some blood flow and just some activity going, and just kind of keep my body healthy. If I sit at home, I'm literally just gonna think about it all day long. Of like, man, I could be at least getting a pump in or whatever, just getting a sweat going. It just feels good. And you know, I mean, at the end of the day, I was talking to you, like, trying to be in 5 different projects and doing all that stuff at one time. It's draining. It's not easy. It's tiring, but you know, I had to just kind of look in the mirror and just say, hey, man, you chose to be in this, and it's all going to be worth it whenever everything blows up. And so, you know, knowing that, I just kind of was able to chill out and just say, hey, one day at a time. That's the motto. You know, I say this at my job, I say this in the gym, I say this everywhere, but that's what it is, really.
It's crazy because, like, just speaking on that last time, you've been wanting to, both of us wanting to be like busy, wanting to have more success, that wanting more money. But now we kind of can put our shoes in. Like, I ask myself, I'm like, what is like the Jeff Bezos and like Elon Musk, like how busy are they if I feel like I'm busy? So it's like, that's like, a lot of people say they want that success, and they want that figure. That figure comes with a lot of responsibility. So
No, most definitely. And I mean, they've made it. I mean, we're trying to make it. We're trying to get it. And luckily we have age on our side where we're still young. We still can hustle, you know. And that's the thing. It's like most people our age aren't doing what we're doing. And I'm not saying that to even talk highly. It's just like, I look at them like, most people have given up, you know, from what I've heard and what kind of is the cultural saying. So it's like, hey, just be thankful and express gratitude at the fact that you have this opportunity to be in this position, to be something and to make something in your life. That's all it is for me.
Literally.
All right. So time for another real episode, man. I think this
like
is
this one.
Yeah, this one's gonna be good and kind of culturally relevant, especially given the times we're in, man, unfortunately. But you know, I think where I'm gonna start off is just, it seems that there just is this need in modern times for people to be able to protect their image. Now, when we talk about your image, it's largely perception, how people view you, how people perceive you. But just on that alone, what do you think? And do you agree? Do you disagree? And how does that factor in for you?
Just to start off, I think this episode is for the real people in the world. I love this episode because this fits into the people like me and Obi. So to kind of answer your question, like what do people like? Are you saying like people are trying to? They need to protect their image for like, in what way? For example, like just their whole image as a success, or try to have something that they don't have, or just protect their image to kind of not get talked down on.
Well, so I'll just go full fledged into it, man. So this came up because of a conversation I was having last week, and there's two schools of thought from what I had noticed, right? And it all comes from your first impression, right? There's one school of thought that says your first impression matters, and so you need to make sure that you're always trying to do right, or at least always trying to put yourself in a positive light, right? There's that school of thought. Then on the opposite hand is I don't care what people think or feel, therefore I'm going to do me and I'm going to live the way I want, and to hell with the rest of, society and what people think. So having those two schools of thought, where do you stand on that?
I agree with both, because that side of I don't care what people think can lead into arrogant, like be arrogant.
Mhm.
And that's what you don't want to have, because you should always be a sponge to the game. But at the same time, when you do, that first impression means a lot. Like, you starting a new job, if you're starting a new relationship, if you're starting a new any type of foundation, you starting a new like that's all I can think of for that point. But like if you're starting anything of those two nature, you want to go into the job, you want to be the first person there. You want to be the especially if you're young, you're new, even if you're older and you have a lot of experience, you still want to be the first person in the office that day. Or if you're in school, wear something nice that first like month or two, like wear a lot of different nice things, and then gradually fill out what other people are doing in that company or that organization, and kind of go from there. But for me, I think that leading first impression is something serious, especially if you're a minority in the times that we live in. That's something that's big, because like we already have a chip, we always have like a target on our back, so we have to perform even better. But even if you're not a minority, you still have a lot to prove. It just your experience might not be high enough, but you should also have that I don't give a damn about what other people think of me. I'm gonna always be me. Because if you try to be too much like what people want you to be, you lose who you are, because you never done that. So if you're trying to be somebody you're not, it's gonna just simply make you might mess up trying to be fake. You might try to do something that try to fulfill somebody else's needs, and you might overplay your hand trying to think of what they're thinking, and you might end up making them like, this guy's kind of fake, this guy's kind of this, I don't like him, instead of just being you. Something that I told Kat about when I started my role was, I've always got a lot of friends. Like, I lived in Michigan, Texas, Katy, whatever. Like, by how I do that is I'm always myself, but at the same time I don't overspeak. And I think you're good at this too. And that's what I think you're good at, making people like you, is because I'm gonna be that guy who don't just come over there and just talk to you automatically. I'm gonna be that guy to be like, I'm gonna let it happen organically. And then you're gonna be like, why is that guy so quiet? Why is he to himself? But when he talks to me, he's cool. I think you need to be yourself at the same time. But when you do have that first impression, you need to make yourself be like presentable, and like, oh, this guy's first thing I think about for your example, people like, oh, he's quiet. But when they say somebody about he's articulate, he's very smart, he's intelligent. I'm like, your first impression is that's what everybody leads to, is like, he's one of the most articulate human beings I've ever seen. His wordplay is good, he's this and this, but he's also quiet. That's why I think a lot of people like you versus me. I'm just somebody who's not going to overpress you, and when I talk to you, I'm gonna have an articulate conversation. So I think we're very similar. So it's a thin line between how you move between both of them, but that's how I look at them.
Yeah, you brought up a lot of good points there just now. I think the first and foremost one that I want to tackle, though, it goes to that your prejudices that may be bestowed upon you. You talk, both you and I, large Black males, right?
Right.
I mean, fair or not, and I know this because I've been ingrained to think this way. Unfortunately, is like, hey, people are gonna have certain perceptions about you. We're gonna think certain ways about you. Now you can decide to, throw a fit about it, or you have to just learn how to move accordingly. So a lot of me being articulate is learning that, hey, I can't afford to put myself in a position where people will think, oh, this dude is a thug or this or that. You know what I'm saying? Like, just for my, optics and for how I am. First off, that's not the way I was raised, one. So that would, to me, be me being faked. I mean, again, I was always raised to be able to speak, eloquently, always be able to use your words, use vernacular, know how to speak in complete sentences, don't use slang, especially when the time doesn't present itself. So it's a matter of you have to learn how to communicate with people, right? Especially given the fact that people already are going to seem, or people are already going to think one way about you. You have to be able to dispel those myths, not for them, but for you. And it's so funny because I always used to get like, Mike, you don't sound the way I thought you'd sound. And I'm like, what do you mean by that?
That's one of my biggest pet peeves. I was going to say
Yeah.
that after, like, being an African American man, it's like they expect you kind of to speak Ebonics or something like in that matter of like, why don't you speak this way? I'm so surprised that you speak articulate. I'm like, to me, that's like, what are you thinking of how we really are? Like, you kind of telling on yourself in a way, like who you been around. To me, that's why because I have both sides of life, and that's why I love it, because I'm like, I could take somebody to some of the most grimiest places in Michigan and Detroit, but like, I'm not afraid to say I grew up in Katy. Like, I'm not afraid to say that because I'm comfortable on my skin. I'm like, that's the people I like being around, is the people who've seen things and been through trials and tribulations, but they don't got to always broadcast it like, I've been this, I did this, I did this. I'm like, bro, you kind of sound like a sucker in a way. Like, you need to stop being so open about it. That's what I like about you and the Blakes and them like that. I'm like, y'all, that's dope to me. Like, that's something I look up to, because I'm like, y'all can make me better in ways. And I think a lot of people in this world are portraying something they're not.
I mean, and my thing is like, if you look at you don't ever know someone's story, because for me, what I look back at is like, okay, grew up in a place where there was a lot of people who identified themselves as rednecks. Then grew up in a city where I was one of only 2 or 3 Black people in the classroom. It was predominantly white. Then as I got older, Katrina happens. Katrina brings a large African American population down to Houston. Then they open up another part of the city of Houston, and so it gets less suburban, more industrialized. You then start to diversify. You then go to school. Whenever you're in school, you have lunch and you go to recess. From when I was 4 up until 13, you're with the Hispanic kids, you're with the bilingual kids, you're around them all the time. And then there's a cultural relatability there because I'm Nigerian. I grew up in Nigerian culture, Hispanic culture, Nigerian culture. There's a lot of similarities there. Right. Then because I had to be a good student, there you go. You get a little bit of an Asian population start to roll in, what I'm saying? So it's a matter of being able to be around all these different types of people and then be able to say, okay, I learned this. I can take this. I like this. I'm relatable here. I'm relatable there. And then it's like, for me, I just was always taught these core values, which is, look, at the end of the day, no matter what, you respect people. You try to treat them the way you want to be treated. If people don't like you, that's fine. Not everyone's going to, and then you just have to learn how to move accordingly. Don't ever judge where somebody comes from, because that's just what they are. That's just who they look like. That's just where they come from. But that doesn't mean that's the person that they are, right? So for me, I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood, but was around people who were impoverished. I was around well-off people, and I learned how to communicate with both, because there's good and bad in everything. So for me, it's like, look, at the end of the day, I'm Mike, L is L. And I think the reason why you and I get along and why we're able to get along with people is because that's the way we see life. It's like, look, you are a person and you'll be respected as a person until you prove yourself.
You prove yourself who you really, exactly. And that's what we're very big alpha males. Like, we're big guys. Like, we're actually like big guys. So it's like the fact that we, like, a lot of people say, like, in my history of like, I've been temperamental and stuff like that, but I'm a very like deferred to like, I don't ever get mad at little dudes, like littler to me. Like, it's just something that I just can't do. Even the big guy, I'm respectful to everybody around me until I get disrespected, and then I'm on 10 and I'm still trying to learn of like, still don't take it there. Like, sometimes just like fight your battles in different ways. But I think that's why we're so likable, is because of that. It's just like, we're not trying to press nobody. We're not trying to get no confrontation, but we will take it there. But it's like, we're not trying to go there. And that's just like, that's just how I stand on it.
Even learning that balance, like, again, you talk about us being big dudes. One thing I remember Nehemiah bringing, I don't know whether this was the case where you were, they used to always think that the big guy would start any altercation, like, because they were bigger, right? So, and what I found more so is that the smaller kids used to instigate it because they knew they'd get away with it, right? So then whenever it came time for them to write a statement, the teacher would, or the administrator or whomever, if it was a cop, whatever, they'd always assume, oh, it was the big guy who started it, right? Like, nah, dude picked the fight and took his stuff, and you know what I'm. So for me, I had to learn. Okay, you gotta hold your tongue. You can't do the violent route all the time. Sometimes if it's to the point where there's no other option, well then hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. And that's kind of the way I walk. Like it's like, look, if I don't have to go there, then I won't do it. Right. Because I know it's only gonna create more problems in the way
It's gonna create more
most.
problems. And not saying like you can't get touched or this and this, but it's like you're coming from like a standpoint of like, I know I can, like if I get in a fight, somebody might catch me with a nice left or right. And like I'm not saying that I won't beat him up, but that shit's still gonna
Mhm,
hurt. So it's
mhm.
like, let me just try to avoid every type of confrontation that can happen. Like you're not untouchable. And I think that's where I think both have seen both sides of it. Is like, and we're not, I don't want to use that term weird, but it just we're just comfortable in our skin.
And I'll take it one further. The way people are wired these days, I mean, hey, a fight doesn't just stay that. Like, it doesn't just stay you duked it out and then you move on with your life. People harbor that type of stuff. And then all of a sudden, hmm, I don't even want to go there because
Literally,
I lost a partner because of that type of stuff just recently. So it's
literally,
like, I'm just like,
literally.
look, man, at the end of the day, people don't know how to let stuff go and let tension go. I mean, that's the thing. I just don't want to create
It's not worth
enemies
it.
for myself because it's not worth the stress of like having to look over your shoulders. Like just, hey, I'm gonna move my way and do what I do, and that's just what it is. But to talk of the second part of what you talk about is you talk about, okay, there's the I think what you talk about is there's the optic side, or there's protecting the image side from a physical perception and how you look. And then there's the talking about it from the way that you interact with people. And I think large, like for me, I'm big on first impression on how you present yourself in the world. You know me, I talk about fragrance all the time. And I always say that your fragrance is your first impression to the world. If you smell good, if you start off smelling good and you look clean, you look presentable, right? For me, who's a big guy and hairy, the last thing I'm gonna be is big, hairy, and smelly, right? So I take extra care to make sure you always make sure you trim, always make sure you smell good, shower, and then on top of that is to smell good, right? When I go up to somebody, when I go up to a woman, when I go up to whomever, when I'm doing my reviews, they already know offer, okay, this dude at least takes care of himself and smells good. So now I don't think he's up to no good because you usually don't get perceived as being up to no good whenever you're pleasant to be around and people like being in your presence. You know what
Right,
I'm saying?
right.
So I think there's that aspect. And then I'll talk about it, just in terms of like the way you interact with people. I think that's where the conversation gets muddy because I know me, there was one person I was told about where it's like, yeah, I was hanging with this guy, and a lot of people think that he's arrogant, but I think you just have to not judge him. And I'm like, yeah, but if a lot of people have a
They're
negative
saying that
perception about you.
something's gotta be up.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Or
Something's
people are
gotta
going to start thinking that if multiple people are saying that about you, multiple people have that narrative about you, and I'm like, some ain't clicking in my opinion. So where do you fall on that whole thing?
I'll take it a step forward. Like, even if somebody says that about like this person's weird and like this person, I keep hearing it, by you being associated with that person can make you fall into like, bro, why aren't you seeing it? So like
Mm-hmm.
but also at the same time, you can't let that affect you as well. Like if somebody gets bad heat and a lot of people don't like them, you gotta know that person for them. And are you friends with them for them? Or are you friends with them, or you gonna not be friends with them because a lot of people hate them? So I look at it that way, like that first impression is cool. Like I get a lot of like, because you put me on a lot of smell goods, you put me on a lot of fragrances and stuff, and like I've been big on that. People always get mad at me, like, why do you shower before the gym? Why do you do this before the gym? I'm like, to me, if I just feel good and look good, I'm going to perform better instead of like, oh, I got my shirt on tucked, I got my shirt not ironed, I got this on loose. It's like you just rolled out of bed and just didn't care. And it's like that's going to show in your work. That's going to show in your organization skills. It's going to show in a lot of things. Granted, don't care what people think, but you got to do this stuff for you. And when you're doing it for
Mm-hmm.
you, all that comes. And it's like that's the thing. I'm not saying look good because of other people. I'm saying be presentable, be in a spot where you wanted to perform, because people do judge by that, but also do it for you and do it for your performance in that way.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like it lowers your anxiety when hey, I've taken care of me.
Hmm.
Now I'm not gonna take my interaction with people so personally. And I think that's where
Hmm.
people kind of get caught up is like, okay, I'm speaking as us as guys, right? When you're younger, you go through this a little bit more, and then as you get older, you realize it's like look, I've done what I could do, right? Sometimes you're just not someone's type, right? A lot
Yeah.
of youngsters come to me like, man, she rejected me, or why is this girl not doing this? Why is this girl not doing that? I'm like, look, being that I used to be in your step, I mean, sometimes it just is what it is. Did you at least take the effort to make the approach? Yes. Hey man, sometimes that's all you could do, right? But whenever you feel insecure about yourself, then it becomes a bigger thing of, oh man, maybe it's because of this deficiency, that deficiency. Maybe it's because I'm ugly, or whatever the case may be. It's like it's not always that. Sometimes you got that person on the wrong day at the wrong time, and that's what all it is. And you know what I'm saying? So I think it's just when you take care of you first, then you can take care of others, or at least you don't take your interaction with other people so seriously. And that's kind of how what I learned how to channel and how to program and how to redirect. You know what I mean?
I'm glad I've never faced that. And maybe some people can look at it as like, well, maybe L was cocky, maybe L looks at himself too high. But I do look at my ever since like I lost my weight and I was obese and stuff. And then I got swollen, got bigger, and got taller. I was like a late bloomer. Like I was always, I wasn't 6'4", just like I actually got like 6'4", like in like my sophomore year, junior year of college. And then like my full-fledged body came in like college. So it's like for me, I never like I would be lying to tell you if I got curved by somebody and when I was single and stuff. But like when that's never like when young people, like I was at a little graduation thing. Some guy was like, how do I get somebody like Kat? And I was like, honestly, I was like, you gotta just be you. Like you gotta be somebody like just yourself, this and this. I've never got down on myself when somebody curved me. I'd be like, well, that's your loss. You fumbled the bag. You gonna see in about a couple of months that that was the wrong decision. And then when you do come back, I remember what you did. So you got to stand on it. And that's just how I look at it. I'm maybe somebody says cocky and that's it, like whatever, my ego's high, whatever. But I'm so confident in myself that like I think women, and I think a lot of men don't know that. There's a lot of women who are not comfortable in their skin. And once you learn that, because like we're the hunters, so it's like we thinking that they don't care about nothing. We thinking that these women just numb to stuff. Man, you'd be surprised if you just never say nothing to a girl and this, you know, you look good and you doing the right stuff and you in your own lane. You'll be so surprised of what a girl thinks. And it's like, why won't you come talk to me? Because I really didn't care that much. And they're like, well, why didn't you talk to me? I just really didn't care. Like it's just honestly, like I don't think that you're not attractive, but it's just like I told Kat, like when we first started, she was like, well, you were never going to talk to me. I was like, I was never going to come up to you ever at the gym and talk to you. That's just not me. Like if we would have talked on social media and then got to know each other, then yeah. But I'm not going to be the guy to come up to you and be like, oh yeah, I like your shoes, or good lift, or good set, or can I work in? I will be damned if I do that ever.
You use that good shoes line. I heard that that's a real thing. You use the good shoes line. That's what you use. That's what you use to get to Cat. You talked about
No, I didn't go up to Kat. That's what I'm saying. Like I slid in her DM. And I was like, I said, keep going strong. And I put the muscle emoji. And I was going to leave it at that. And then she left me on red for a little bit. I was like, let she know she's messing up because I know who I am. Like, if she don't reply to this, we just never going to speak ever again. And then that was that. And then she replied like an hour later, and the rest is history. So that's why I tell younger people, like, bro, don't worry about these women, bro. They'll come when they come. Like, work on your craft.
It all started with just keep going strong. And I look at my boy.
Literally, it's like you gotta just keep working your craft because that's why I tell a lot of people that's our height and our size. I'm like, just imagine if you keep working out and then you keep getting bigger and you grow facial hair, you smell good, you work, you have a career, and then they come in conversation and you pick their brains how we can pick people's brains. I promise you, it's the sky's the limit. It's the easiest thing ever. But people just gotta like believe in themselves from there.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, all this interaction stuff, I always say, I've got it all simple down to very simple. I can like you, but I love me. You feel me? So at the end of the day, it's like, hey, I'd love to get to know you. I love to go out with you, whatever the case may be, whatever that leads to. But at the end of the day, like I reciprocate the same energy I'm giving. I've said that numerous times.
Exactly.
What that means is
mess my piece up.
I'm not gonna exactly no. If I feel like someone's messing my piece up, then you gotta go. You got, you know what I'm saying? And it's not personal. I'm not gonna take it personal. I'm not gonna be angry. It's just nah,
it is what it is.
It just is what it is. You know, I think our energies aren't aligned at this moment. We're not a match, and that's okay. Keep it moving, and I'll find the next one. And you know, I'm gonna do me, and I'm gonna keep focusing on what my goals are, and that's it. I mean, I think, guys in general just got to stop taking the game so personally. It is what it is, man. You're gonna
Kind of told
fail.
me that about taking the game personally. Like if you get rejected, keep it pushing. But
Hmm.
I had a question for you.
Yeah,
Do you
it's good.
think our approach of
Hmm.
not caring and being nonchalant, and like we do, I'm not saying we don't want when I was single and then you're single, but
Hmm.
like, do you think our approach to the game kind of makes women like, well, I'm not gonna press him because if he's not interested in me, then I'm not gonna keep going. To me, I'm like, why can't we both be pursue each other? And then yeah, I do think I should push the most, but like, why is it so foreign for you to just put in some effort as well? I've always wondered that.
So your question is, do you think our approach, I guess, does it lose
Can
us point?
kill us like in the long run, like because maybe somebody could say it was meant to be, but at the same time we could say, well, it wasn't meant to be because that person wasn't about to press me or I wasn't going to press them. But at the same time, it could be meant to be, but two people could just be stubborn.
Love that question, actually. This is my answer. It'll kill you and it'll mess you up with the wrong women, in my opinion. So, what I mean by that is that a woman who thinks, oh, he's not trying to pursue me, he's not trying to trace me, she was never really going to be a match for you in the beginning, the way you and I are wired. Because at the end of the day, if a woman likes you enough, she's going to show some effort, right? You can
Mm,
do, you and I are both the type. We will make the approach. We will go talk to someone if it's there and if the attraction is there, cool. But what we're not gonna do is we're not gonna do this cat and mouse game of, oh, well, I like her, but she's not texting me consistently or she's not showing any effort at all, but I'm still gonna go after that. You see what I'm saying? That's where
okay, I like
maybe
how you said
it'll
that.
it'll kill us in that
Right,
regard, in terms of like
right.
having that mindset of I have to knock every single woman down. That's not the way you and I are wired. At least that's
Right,
not how I'm wired,
right.
right?
Yeah,
So I
same.
know it will kill me in that regard, where it's like, people always like, how do you, you know, get over women so fast? How are you so like you can cut them off that quickly? It's because like for me, I know not I don't even like using under my work. I just know how I am. And I've seen women who've had genuine interest, and I've seen women who've had lukewarm interest, not just in me, but in general, right? Or women have told me this is the thing about being a friend to so many women over the years. It's like, look, if they like a guy enough, they will make
They
an
will.
effort.
They
They
will
will
make it.
break
They will
whatever
make it
rules they
known.
got,
Yep.
whatever Steve Harvey like mindset that they've been bestowed on. I'm guarantee if they like the guy enough,
They will break it.
they'll break it. And then if like, they don't like a guy at all, or if he's a six and then they're gonna do the most to try to string him along. And that's the thing. That's just what it is. And once guys understand that, or once women get out of the mindset of trying to play the cat and mouse game, especially for a guy that they actually genuinely like, more people will be able to be in more healthy relationships. Where people love this whole leverage thing of, I have to make sure I don't show interest even if I like the person. I think
I
that's
hate that. I'm like, what type of like you said, cat and mouse game is this that we got to show that we don't like each other or like feeling each other? Like, bro, I'm feeling you. Like, yes, I do want to text you. I'm not about to sit here and wait an hour to apply to you when I see your stuff. Like, what do I look like? I'm 10.
exactly.
Like, I don't know. Everything's backwards. So,
Yeah.
how the conversation?
So now let's transition it out. So how do we think, people and protecting their image can play out in the workplace, as we always talk about? What do you think?
Um, in the workplace, just number one, I say be you. Um, protect your image by always standing up for what you believe in a respectful way.
Mhm.
Um, also always show face. Always show face. I'm big on always show face to the company or any organization. If there's any friends or any coworkers trying to go get drinks or something, I think you can protect your image of like he's not too. He don't think he's too good for himself. He doesn't think he's too out there. I think by just even though you might not want to go to like a event after work, it's just always best if you do show face for at least an hour and a half, maybe two, and then go home. Like it's like okay, at least he show face. We see how because me being at these different events after work, you see so many people who are like just not like that at work, like don't want to talk to nobody, don't want to do nothing. But when you get some drinks in somebody, it's like, oh, this dude, okay, he's a normal guy. He just
The
he
truth
just
will
want
come
to be
out.
the truth come on. And that's when you like, oh, I really like this guy at the job. Like, okay, he's serious at job. He loves his job. He's hard at his job. He's got his craft. But we get some drinks in him. Like, a lot of people don't know about you. Like when we go out and stuff, you get some drinks in you. Oh, we be lit. Oh, we be having fun. Oh, we have a good time. But at the same time, when it's back to work, it's back to work. It's like
You're not supposed to know that, bro.
then you're supposed to know that.
Just
But same with me. It's like I'm not really a talker too much. When I get some drinks in me and I have some fun, I get some words out with you. But it's like I think that's how it should be. Like you're not gonna sit here and just talk all that dang day at work when you gotta get some work done. So I think that's how you can protect your image. That just be yourself and make sure you work hard, and it will speak for itself from there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the main thing for me that I've adopted is don't speak unless spoken to. Like I'm big on just kind of staying in my own lane and kind of, but be a sponge too. You know what I'm saying? Don't be the type to only ask questions whenever it's already too late. Like I'm big on a okay. I know right now I'm in the first year of my industry, you know, at least at my school. And so my thing was I've been asking questions or I'll try to make it an effort. Okay, I know I'm not that good at this, or I don't know too much about this. So while I'm learning, this is how I can be a
This is how I
service.
can do it.
You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? This is what I can do. This is what I am good at. All right. That way I kind of be able to provide value to the staff and to the collective, right?
Right. Right.
But the main thing is, like I said, like people really are like, man, are you good? Like, do you have any questions? Are you good? Because you don't say much. I'm like, because I don't have anything I have to say that's of
Just
dire
say,
need. You know what I'm
yep.
saying? Other than, am I doing right? You know what I'm saying? Or is there anything that y'all noticing that I should fix? Like, that's my main thing. As long as I'm doing the right thing and I make sure everything is taken care of, I'm good. But like, I just think the more you talk, the more of a talker you are, the more people try to use that against you. Like, and that might sound cynical, but I mean, that's what I've noticed. Like the times where, you know, I was more talkative and trying to be everybody's friends and stuff throughout the job, people start
Right.
trying to check you, people start trying to play you a little bit more. So I'm like, hey man, look, I'm here to take care of business. I'm here to do my job. As long as, you know, nobody's doing nothing behind my back or nothing of that nature, you know, I'm gonna make sure I work hard and make sure I'm gonna get everything done right on time and
Yep.
expeditiously. And as long as we good, then that's all I care about, really. So I think protecting your image at work is just a matter of, you know, just staying on top of the game and don't get too caught up with anything.
Literally. I agree.
You know. All right, now let's talk about your image and friendships. So how do you think, and this is interesting, your image as far as your friend group and things of that nature, how do you think that plays out?
Your image, you gotta that's a tricky one. I think that it just comes with me. I'm already big on not even adding people to my circle after a certain age. But the people that you do have in your circle, they should already know you from the sandbox almost. And the people that you do add to them, then y'all just naturally just clicked and God wanted you to have them in your life. But as far as your like core friends and you have your friends who just already done it, like that they should already know, and you just got to be yourself from the beginning. So it goes from like your upbringing, like your parents installed you to be this way, and my parents installed me to be this way. So now you just translate that with your friends, and by you being loyal to them and having the history of what you do to them, they'll know that okay, this guy can be trusted, and that's you got to stand on 10 at all times with the different sectors and so many things, and just being yourself can always lead you in the right direction. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, here's my question. Main thing when it comes to friend groups is when one person in the group or in the crew or whatever the case may be, when they either get a girlfriend, let's say, like certain circumstances change, and then all of a sudden that causes the relationship with the friend group to change. How do you think that plays out? 'Cause I think that's really what it goes and what it boils down to when it comes to a friend group and optics changing, right? Is man, you know, L, like you've talked about this. When you were single, you was fun and you used to come out all the time. Now you got a girlfriend. Man, now you don't come out. What's up, man? You changed, you switching up on us. And TikTok makes this a trend. So I mean, it's funny to me.
My homie actually said in the gym last weekend to me. And he was joking, but he the one who about to get married. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, your life is kind of changing when you have a significant other. Like we're still best friends, all of us, we're still homies and all that. But it's like when you get a wife, I have a wife, whoever has a wife, and like we're not gonna always be able to talk 24/7. We're not always gonna be to see each other 24/7. But you gotta know what your foundation is with your group. And it's like, yeah, now when we all get houses and stuff, all right, Obi, come over with your wife. Kale, come over with your wife. Ryan, come with your wife or girlfriend, or whatever y'all doing. And if you're single, you still can come. But like that's, I think the dynamic just changes when you grow up. It's like now we don't, like it depends. Like some of my friends now value going out still. I don't value going out as much as I used to. So I don't want to put myself in that situation where I'm like, you got people in Houston, as you see with tragedies happening, like you got people having things that just you can just be in the wrong spot at the wrong time. I'm big on let me stay out the way, stay at the crib, let me play my game, let me watch TV, let me watch my shows, let me eat and stay out the way of my girl. And then me and her want to go somewhere like Dave and Buster's. I'll say, okay, you want to make this a group thing? Let's invite Obi and his girl. Let's invite Obi regardless of where, or let's invite Kev. Let's invite whoever. Like whoever wants to come can come. But things do change, and your friends got to realize that that woman does become your first priority, and that's just how things go when you actually look at it from that point of view. Like, yeah, you should put your woman first, and like we're still first as friends, but like you got to be respectful of that woman now that came into your life and whatever. So you got to have a balance at the same time though with your friends and your wife, because like, or girlfriend, whatever, because you can't lose that friendship. Like you got to be like, okay, I got to go hang out with my friends sometimes too. So that's where it comes in my opinion.
I got this question. Do you
Uh-oh.
think that nah, this one's gonna be good because this comes up a lot. Do you think single people keep their people like are bad for people who are in a relationship? Single friends being bad influences for people in a relationship. This primarily I
This
hear
is a
this.
question for girls, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Because I hear this more so directed towards women, right?
Mhm.
Now, when it comes to guys, I think what happens, at least for us, speaking for us, is that if the homie's in a relationship, we know that okay, he has his girl, he has his girlfriend, he's doing something with her, or if it's a couple thing, then if a guy knows, okay, I'm single, I either don't have someone to come or with a plus one, then he's like, hey, yo, I'm just not gonna come. Like that's kind of how I'm wired, unless it's one of those things like now it's an all group thing and we have other single people coming. Like you got to know kind of the situation, but largely I mean, I hear this directed towards women, like single women keep their friends single, or what I'm saying they're a bad influence for a woman who's in a relationship. So do you buy into that or not?
Um, I don't, because I'm a man of my own and like I can decide what I want to do and not do. As I said, it's a question for women because I do see a lot of women because I'm dealing with that. Sometimes I feel like in my
Mm,
relationship, like my friends might be single, they move in a different way. They might want to get girls, they might want to get this, and it might alarm my girl to be like, they like this. Like, why? What makes you think you not like that? I'm like, because I'm honest now. I'm like, I was like that. Like I stopped. Like you can change, and that's the woman has to just know that a person can change. And if you can't think that person can change, I mean you don't trust them, and then you'll have a different talk. That's a different conversation. Like, okay, you don't trust me. We should not be together if you do not trust me. So
exactly.
it's like just because my friends are presenting themselves as single people, they're single, they can do that. But you have to look at me and be comfortable with me going to a club with them and knowing that I know what I got at home and come home. And that's how I look at it for that. So I think that'll be a question for women. And I think a lot of women will be like, well, that is a red flag if their friends are doing this. And even if they do have girlfriends and doing their women dirty, like that's still not on me. That has nothing to do with me. That's my friend's decisions. That's my friend. Doesn't take away from where I look at him as a friend. Like I could tell him to stop 100 times, but if he don't stop, then like that's on him.
Back. All right, that's good. That's good. All right. Final talking point, and kind of alluded to this in the first half. How does this conversation of optics play out in dating and relationships, in your opinion?
Whew, something just came in my brain now. I think it's about to be so fired. I'm about to say all this, like you saying, how can you portray yourself to be as a person to make your image straight? That's the flaw that we have in relationships, because a lot of people are trying to be something that they're not in the beginning of the relationships, hiding their demons, hiding their flaws that they had in the past, and bury them. And then when 6, 7, 8, 9 months, so I'm big on the 6 months to a year, because a lot of people can show a lot of people can show some fake tendencies and fake it for 5 to 6 months and press you to date them, this and this. And then they can show some signs of just, that's why I was so upfront with Cat from the get-go. Like, who you this, who you talking to, who you this, like this is who you talking to. This is who you like. This is who you want to like. This is what I got right now. This is all this stuff is on the table. I do have attention now, and if you give me a reason to cut all these people off, I will do that. And I wanted the same like reverse. So you gotta be you in the beginning. And I think that's what forms the genuine relationship is when you're you and you're not trying to be somebody you're not. Like, it's okay if you had a past of cheating. It's okay if you have this and this. Like, how did you learn from it? How did you grow from that situation? And then that woman gets to decide if they want to be with you or not, and trust that you can move on from it.
Yeah, I think you keeps the interaction as genuine for a long period of time. Because I think what happens is there's certain people who get taught this whole notion of you's not good enough right now, right? In order to be attractive, like your current image, if you don't make a certain amount of money, if you don't look a certain
Yep.
way, if you don't have a six-pack ab, well, then that's not going to be attractive, and therefore you have to fix that before you can. I'm like, you should want to improve for yourself and yourself only, first of all. And then, you know what I'm saying? The byproduct is that you find a woman who's genuinely interested in the person that you're presenting. But what you shouldn't do is try to come off as something you're not, or try to have a personality trait as something that you're not. If you're a person who's a little bit more on the introverted side, right, then find a woman who gravitates to an introvert. If the pool of women that you're finding yourself isn't what you want, then something's got to change. At that point, it's like, okay, you got to change something, right? If you notice that the woman that you want more extroverted type of male, and that's what you seek, you got to learn how to speak up, right? And that's just what it is. If you're a woman, if you're a person who likes a woman and you know she's materialistic, but you're a minimalist, I mean, something's got to give. Either you got to change your standard to say, okay, I got to try to find a woman who's more minimalistic, or either you got to say, hey, I got to learn how to acquire more resources. And this, again, you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you because it's going to make you happy. And then vice versa for women, right? If you know that you're the type who wants a male who is, whether he's 6 feet, whether he makes this amount of money, whether he has this, whether he like, whatever that is, I just think women have to understand that, especially the higher the standard, the harder he's going to be to find, and the more selective he can be, right? And once you understand that, you understand how to navigate that. And it's a matter of choices and obstacles. It's a matter of choices at the end of the day. Like, it's not saying you have to be a certain way. It's just understanding that optically it's all negotiation as far as, okay, I want this. Do I match what this person would want? You know what I'm saying? I think
Sounds so like, for us, I think this is the easiest, but just one of our best traits. We're good at communicating. So for us, this sounds so easy, but you'll be so surprised of the reason why the relationships fails because of just lack of communication, of like something that can be so preventable. Like, I've never talked to somebody and was like, oh, I expect you just to only, like, when you first meet me, like, how many people you talk to, or this, I ain't talking to nobody but you. You're already starting off lying to me. Like, that's like, what makes you, I just asked you a simple question of just truthfulness.
How do you know
Like,
they're lying, though? Let me ask you that. How do you know they're lying, L? Because what if they really
to
are
sit
just only
there
talking?
and say, I'm not talking to nobody.
Mhm.
I'm gonna bet my money on you're lying. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna bet my money on you're lying. Because I'm gonna be like, I'm not asking you. Like, I think people take it so literal. Like, oh, you meant like, who am I talking to? I didn't mean that. I'm talking about, like, do you communicate with somebody like every now and then? Like, how is that looking like? I don't get mad at that. I'm just like, let's have a conversation. Like, you're a beautiful woman. I'm an attractive man. Like, let's see how we can mesh. Let's, like, I always tell people, like, I do like sexual stuff, but like, I fall in love with somebody's mind. Like, how can
Yeah.
we sit here and have a conversation about life? Like, oh, you different. Like, what made you think like that? Like, what made you come to this terms of what made you get like this, how you are now? Like, what happened in your past for you to act like this? So then I come in and be like, well, dang, let me see how I can prevent this from happening ever again, and be that man that can help her heal. And that's how I can help her. But if you don't help me, I can't help you. And that's how I look at it. And I think, ugh, oof,
And
I'm in a relationship. I still get mad at that.
I think that's our biggest difference, man, is that, we value and really appreciate a woman that has a level of depth to her personality where she can hold a conversation, right? Like, I mean, a beautiful woman comes a dime a dozen. It's very easy to find beautiful women. We go to a gym that has a ton of beautiful women, but to find a woman who genuinely can hold a conversation with you, and be able to go back and forth about different things philosophically, culturally, and have enthusiasm about it. It's one thing to make it to like have a conversation, but you feel like it's a chore. But to really have a level of like, oh, I want to hear what you think. I want to hear about what do you think about this? What do you think about like having that to keep us stimulated? That's what we appreciate, and it's very fun, and that will make us fall in love or have appreciation for a potential woman than just any other random Joe Smoke, because it makes us better. It makes us better as people. It makes us better as men. Like having someone who can really go back and forth with you, who brings a different perspective, a unique perspective, and that to me is the type of stuff that I appreciate. You know what I mean? So, all right, we have come to the end. Good
This
conversation.
is 99, 98 episode.
96. We're almost there.
96. I
96.
thought so 96. We almost there. We got 4 more, about 3 more coming at this.
About another
And
month.
then-
That's gonna bring us right to the new year too. So that'll bring us right to January,
Yeah.
just about.
And then that's gonna be where we just take off.
Yes, indeed. But I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. I know, man, this stuff's fun, bro. God dang.
It is therapeutic as hell.
And so, just that being said, just real quick to wrap up, we just continue to appreciate all of y'all and the family who continue to rock with us, tune in, and support us. And we just ask all you do is just subscribe to the YouTube. Word of mouth helps. We don't have any marketing team. We don't have anybody, working for us, promoting it. It's all just us putting in the work and us recording the content and then trying to spread it, as best we can. So any little thing helps, any subscription helps. And, you guys liking the videos and kind of just helping telling your friends, telling your friends to tell their friends, and just spreading the movement. That's all we ask, and that's all we can ask for. And we appreciate it. You got anything else?
Nah, kind of what Obi said. We don't get our stuff from marketing. We're trying to do this like this, and over time that might come up. But I appreciate everybody who comes up to me and Obi and say they heard and listen and gave it a genuine listen. We're not gonna forget who's with us when we was at the bottom, and that's all you got to do is keep going.
Well,
So I appreciate everybody.
But you can catch this episode on YouTube, all your listening platforms, Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We'll catch y'all next week, and we out. Much love.
Peace.
Feet on the ground with a prove you wrong mindset. I'd rather go out on my sword to have my mind tapped. The ones with eyes can never see, I make the blind clap. I'm bringing back that type of sound that once Divine rap, homie.